Speaking arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment. And we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science. Both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment. Hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, can I describe it? Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. Hit every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess so lit, I guess so bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will...
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday. Get a hang with the fellas. Welcome back.
Tuesday.
Robert, Pinky, how we doing, my boys? Cheers. Sports
What's up,
nonsense and
boys?
whiskey.
It's a fantastic day. It's a fantastic week. I'm so excited. I even have my special edition alien head. I'm so excited for this movie. It is great. All is well in the world.
Okay.
All is well.
Okay. Yep. Exactly.
He's such a child.
There's nothing wrong with that, Pinky.
Hey man, when I can make a freaking $100 freaking return on one of these freaking guys, because I did buy another one, it's so worth it.
I will say act a child as long as you can handle your responsibilities.
Which last time I checked, I am doing all that shit. So we're good.
Perfect. Done. Moving along. How you doing, Pinky?
Good, buddy. Good. I'm tired, boys. I am tired.
It's
I can relate to that. Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it has.
It's been a week and it's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right. It's only Tuesday. Oh man.
Yeah.
I kept thinking that all day. Like, holy, it's only Tuesday. Oh
Yeah,
man.
It's not awesome.
It's not awesome. That's right. That is right. But you know what? It just means we're one day closer to Friday, which is awesome. So
That's true.
Why is Friday so awesome, Pinky?
And it'd be Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, why is Friday awesome? I don't think I have anything going on Friday.
Oh, you
Actually.
just mean Friday in general? Just general
Yeah, like
Friday?
Friday, you know?
Yeah, okay,
Everybody's
yeah,
having a good
got you.
time.
I mean Thursday we've got preseason games, baby. So,
we do have some preseason games. I've got tickets to Borderlands Thursday night, so I'll have to catch them on the replay. But we'll see how that goes. What up, Haley? Yeah, my son's hyped up for Borderlands, so we're gonna go see that Thursday night. We'll see how it goes.
I hope it's good because from
I
what
love the
I've
game.
seen, I'm
Based on
judging
the
it hard.
cast,
It's
based on the cast, I'm not very thrilled about the movie.
it's
Thank
an
you,
hour and
Caleb.
40 minutes, so I'm not holding out a lot of hope. But it's his like favorite video game, so
Yeah,
you know what?
because it's an amazing video game. It's fun as hell.
And again, I just want to be entertained, right? I don't set that bar way too high. I just want to be entertained.
Here's the kicker. Entertained is one thing, right? That's here. I can be entertained. I'm good with entertained.
Are you not entertained?
The problem with Entertained and making this movie is that the game itself is already going to be more entertaining on its own.
Because you don't have the MPAA hanging over your head.
Yeah, the game alone, standing alone on itself, is more entertaining than your basic general Hollywood entertainment flick. Okay, and based on the cast, it feels like they're just trying to go with that general entertaining Hollywood flick because none of them, it feels like, fit the characters that they're going to be portraying, for one.
And I mean, not to say that there are certain characters that fill certain roles, but there's a certain character named Moxie that is just a gorgeous character. The actress playing her, while she is attractive normally, does not fit the profile of this character at all. Let me look up. I was like Alina Christensen. Let me double check it.
Just as a whole, it feels like
just
it's gonna
doesn't
be
match.
clunky, unfortunately,
it just does not match the character.
So we'll see what happens. But I mean, like, honestly, the games are super entertaining by themselves. Just the storyline and the commentary and the dialogue is already top notch.
And don't get me wrong, Jack Black as Claptrap, probably the best casting of the whole movie. Like,
yeah, but I feel like then that makes Claptrap more than he needs to be. Is then the next issue that comes with who you're casting, where you're casting them. So again, we'll see what happens. Obviously, Kevin Hart and Jack Black have worked together on both Jumanji movies.
Right.
So there's a chemistry there, which is good. And the game does give them a lot of leeway on how they want to talk and speak and things of that nature, because there's plenty of words thrown around for fun and gimmicks. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
That we shall. That we shall.
But can't fault Junior for that being his favorite game. I'm a big fan.
Totally.
He really loves that game.
Put many hours into the first one for sure.
It is.
I think he still plays 2.
Or is it 2 that I put a lot of hours in? I don't remember which one. But
I think 2 is like the biggest one.
Maybe
I think that would be 3. Actually, I thought 3 was the biggest of them all.
Is 3 the one where you're on the spaceship floating around most of the time?
Yeah, where that's like your home base and you keep going back and forth.
Yeah, okay, no, 2 then. The one right before that, 2 was bomb. That one was just like a masterpiece of just fun, engagement, and a good world and stuff. So yeah, I played a lot of 2. A lot of hours on that one.
Pinky, so the actress's name that I was mentioning is Gina Gershon. She was in Showgirls and some other things from like the 90s, but hasn't been in anything really relevant.
I mean, Kate Blanchett just doesn't feel like the right choice for her role.
Lilith? No,
yeah,
absolutely. That would be like Jessica Chastain or someone like that.
Yeah, I think you could have gone a lot of different ways there. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. I'll come back and report back to you guys. I'll let you know.
Did you play the game, Pinky?
I did not play the game.
So I'll need to hear Junior's thoughts, and then you can give us your movie goer thoughts. But I want Junior's breakdown first from you, if you don't mind. I'll see what he thinks. His non-spoiler breakdown. If you could just let him from one Caleb to another, I would like his honest non-spoiler breakdown before I get yours. I would appreciate it.
Gina Gershon, I've seen her. I'm just trying to think of where I've seen her from.
She just doesn't fit that role for me, and that's kind of the theme of this movie.
Oh yeah, she was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's where I recognize her from.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She was.
She was. Mm-hmm. That she was.
Yep. I was like, yeah, she looks familiar.
Well, moving along there, good sirs. Report back. We'll go from there.
We'll see how it is. All right. What else we doing? What else we got?
House of the Dragon's finally over. Thank God, because this season was bullshit. I have very, very strong feelings about this season, and I need the two of you to get on your watching so we can get through this.
Now I don't know if I want to put time into this.
I'm through episode 3.
Now I'm debating.
What I will say again, you all know me. I have gone and read this book, or history book, if you will, where most of it is taken from different views, so and it gives them a lot of liberty to how they portray it on the show. But this season, man, just flat out sucked. Like it did not do anything for me that I wasn't already like, okay, cool, like we know this, let's move on. There was one great episode. And
well, I mean, here's the deal. If that's going to be your critique, you're probably going to be disappointed entirely because, of course, we already know what happened. I mean, like...
So, I'm not...
That's like saying
there's so much more to...
mad at the prequel because you knew Anakin was going to be Darth Vader.
So they're doing this whole thing in 4 seasons. For what they did this season, they could have done it all in like 2 episodes, and we could have been fine.
Well, that'll be interesting to see because, like I said, I'm through the first 3, so it'll be interesting to see how it finalizes here.
Like I really felt like I just watched a trailer for a movie. Mm-hmm. That's really how I feel.
Okay.
I actually fell asleep for about 15 minutes in the finale because I was so fucking bored.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'll be done with it by the time next week rolls around, so we'll let you know.
Again, I mean, I love Game of Thrones and I loved House of the Dragon, but this season just did not do it for me. It just didn't. I had more enjoyment out of watching probably The Acolyte because it actually like did something different. But this just was boring.
Okay.
And that's saying something.
Well, Pink, you just burned through it in 2 nights here real quick, and that way next week we can hash it out and we'll be good to go, and then I'll move on to something else. You know you can do it real quick. Like if you really want to.
3 days. 3 days.
When's the Olympics over?
On the 11th?
Yeah, I was gonna say a week basically.
Like in 3 days, 4 days?
Yeah, not that far out.
Not much longer.
Well, that's like at night. I'm watching the Olympics with the wife, so.
Oh, okay. Well, then 2 weeks from now we should be able to hash it out.
Then. Yeah, 2 weeks is fine. That's fine.
That I might be able to work with. With that.
I also did start the Caped Crusader on Prime. 10 out of 10. That's a really good show. I love the 1940s Batman approach. I think it's refreshing.
I like that. Clayton, love hearing that, dude.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Keep doing what you're doing, my guy. It's great to hear.
That's hard to do. That is hard to do.
Yeah, so congratulations on that. Any other nonsense to speak of from the fellas here? Did Robert just like...
I think he froze, bro.
Of himself? Oh, there we go. Okay, that's a little better. A little blurry, but yeah, that was cray. All
right. Rings of Power season 2 in 26 days.
Wait, say that again.
Rings of Power season 2 in 26 days.
Oh boy. Okay, I got to.
Pinky, get out of here.
That'll be my next.
Well, it can't be worse than season 1, right? I would hope.
That'll be my next start. Then we'll do that next. I got to figure out Loki too because we might be getting a babysitter here to go see Deadpool. So I got to get Loki in before I go see Deadpool. So we'll see what happens there as well. Got some things to decide now. I don't want to hear it's not necessary. We like seeing everything before we've seen something, Pinky. That's just the way we roll. It doesn't matter what you say.
But it takes a while to get through Loki season 2. So if you're going to try to do that, you'd have to really jump on it. Movies aren't staying long in the theaters these days. They're not.
Yeah, which is also, I mean, you know me, I'm not going to be bummed if I have to watch it at home.
Well, if you don't get on it, you'll be watching it at home, sir.
Good. Okay.
So get on it. All right. You guys are all Olympics, so let me go ahead and start it off, and I'll chime in where I can.
Robert, what you
got? Women soccer, let's go. Gold medal match on Saturday against Brazil. I believe I can't, correct me if I'm wrong, Caleb. This was the first time in 20 years that the Brazilian women and the United States women have met.
That sounds about right. In a final, I think it is
something like that. Pretty prestigious. But our women kick ass. Of course, I am also, enjoying seeing Dennis Rodman's daughter playing. That's always cool to kind of get some of that backstory. But actually
how much of that backstory do you know?
I know a little bit, but it's cool seeing other sports talents in different ways. I like seeing that.
Outside of that name, they don't really have a connection.
No.
Like there's not a relationship there, unfortunately, which is sad.
Well, have you seen the man? I'm just kidding.
By all accounts, Dennis is a good dude. He just has that unfortunate gene of making bad choices, if you will. So it is what it is, unfortunately. And, deadbeat dads are deadbeat dads, no matter how you look at it. So in that respect, it's a bad look for him.
Right.
But Trinity put in her own work and made it her own name, and now she's doing it on the
She's
top
a baller.
Yeah, she is. That goal was nasty. And then they had another one in basically extra time to put them into the gold medal match. So the ladies are doing some heart attack thrillers right now for sure.
And gentlemen, I do request that we do take a drink to this because one of our hometown heroes, Sophia Smith, put us there in the gold medal match today, and she is from Windsor, Colorado. So,
all right, well, it's Colorado and Sophia.
Absolutely.
Simone Biles, the GOAT of women's gymnastics, putting in work with Team USA, getting the gold medal.
And disappointing on the fall. That was really sad to see.
On the fall?
Yeah,
her and Sumi Lee both fell off the beam.
Well, yeah. So I'm getting there. You guys jump straight to the individual rotation. Like,
I'm sorry.
Team first. It's team first, right? And then
teams was last week. We did that already.
Well, I'm just saying, congratulations to the GOAT. She got the teams. Then they went and did the all-around, which she then won the all-around gold as well. And then this week they did the individual disciplines. And yes, unfortunately, she did fall on the beam. But she did didn't she get another gold, bronze, and silver or something like that out of the individual emphasis on each apparatus? So she collected a bunch more medals this round and is the GOAT of women's gymnastics. Now, I have heard some people talking about how she is the GOAT of American athletes when it comes to the Olympics. And while I think if you want to put her in the mention of conversation, I don't think I'd be upset with it. But I think there's one clear name at the very top that there is no argument with. And if this is not who you're saying, I will tell you are absolutely wrong and to do more work on your knowledge. Do you know the name? Let's see.
Is it Michael Phelps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I was about to say, if it's not Michael Phelps, I don't know who else it could possibly fucking be.
I thought you were throwing out a trick question.
No, that's what I thought.
Nope, that's the thing. It's not a trick. The dude has over 20 gold medals.
Dude, it's insane.
Like, I don't care if you want to argue swimming is one of the easier disciplines to be able to win multiple medals at, because you can win, you can do the best at the 100 freestyle and then do the 4x100 freestyle with your team and win another gold that way. So you're kind of doing the same thing twice, if you will, but you're still winning events, right? Regardless of how you're going about it, even if it's individual and then team, you're still then having to hope 3 other dudes on that relay are just as quick as they need to be to win. So, and then your medleys, you're having to be good at every swimming stroke, the breast, right? The freestyle, the backstroke, and the butterfly in order to win that event. So anybody who's talking that, like, I can kind of understand where you're coming from in a way, but I will still say it's crazy to not give them their just due. So yeah, Michael Phelps is, I would, in my opinion, he's not just the greatest American Olympian, he is the greatest Olympian, period. No questions asked.
Most decorated. Yeah, no, absolutely. What I would say, Caleb, is, we talked about this several weeks ago. I would say Simone Biles definitely goes on like the Mount Rushmore of the Olympics for the United States, but definitely not the GOAT of the Olympics.
And again, what is it that always happens? Every year in sports, what happens?
Recency bias.
Prisoner of the moment.
Sure. Absolutely. But I have a hard time I mean, Simone Biles is a very dedicated athlete and a very resilient athlete, but she is definitely not the GOAT of it by any count.
I mean, I think
from gymnastics,
calling her Mount Rushmore, or I'm even expanding now because Mount Rushmore is only 4 people. You know, she's definitely in the top 5.
I mean,
Olympic athletes.
We could transition it to like a dollar bill situation because you got your 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s. So I mean, you could do that. That's a better conversation. She could go on a dollar bill of sports. It's a better analogy.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like just having your face on a denomination of currency is a big deal. Not like a lot of people get that honor regardless of what the currency is. I mean, Abe Lincoln's got the penny, right? But everybody knows he's on that damn penny. And it's not your or my face. So
if you watch the pennies, the dollars take care of themselves. So, you know.
Great.
Guy.
Yeah. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, giving out financial advice. Listen to the man.
Woo!
Cheers, good sir. So, yeah, there's that. Gymnastics are now over. Swimming is now over. Track and field is starting to wrap up. Noah Lyles did win the 100-meter. Which I'm going to say flat out, little wild that it's the first torso to cross the line, not just body part.
Right.
Because he would have lost if it was just the first body part.
Right.
He would have lost by about as much as he won, which is just crazy. 5,000ths of a second is absurd. But congratulations, because those boys were running in that finals heat. So for him to know the rules and make sure he put himself in a position to get his torso across the line is a heady move. Very heady move by a veteran of the sport and the fastest man in the world at this point in time. So track and field is doing some work. Sha'Carri Richardson did not do what many people thought she would, and she is walking away without a gold. So that's a bit of a bummer. Cole, I believe his name was Cole Hawker, basically won the equivalent of what's the mile, and
that was
got
crazy.
A gold, and he was a super underdog. Not one of the favorites, was not supposed to be there, came out of nowhere, won that, so that was cool to watch.
Well, just watching him in that last stretch, you see him kick on the afterburner.
He didn't, though. That's the kicker. And I'm glad somebody mentioned this on our post on the Facebook page. He didn't change. He basically held his stride and his pace the entire time, which is really what you want to do in the mile. And if you have a little bit of a kick left for that last, say, 60, 50 meters, you can throw it in. But what happened was those dudes all kicked and went into their afterburners, basically coming around the turn. And by the time they came out of that last turn, they didn't have any more left in the reserve. So they were actually starting to slow down while he maintained the same pace, which is why it looked like he was all of a sudden turning on his afterburners or giving the kick at the last second. He was just smart enough and held to his game plan where he held that pace the whole way, which was a brilliant strategy that turned out beautifully for him in the end. But, dude, they ran that in like 3:32. 3 minutes and 32 seconds. They ran basically the equivalent of a mile. It's a little short of a mile, but not by much. So if you want to call it 4 minutes, it probably would have been sub 4 based on the math to equate it to equal. It would have been just under 4. That's absurd to me. Absolutely absurd.
It was 3:27.
That's crazy. So you're talking maybe 3:40-ish if it's a full mile.
The fastest mile I ever ran was 5:25.
That's crazy. I can't remember if I ever got a sub 6. I feel like I did at least once, but I can't remember for sure. So I'm gonna say I never got there.
Now that was 10 years ago when I was like playing soccer every day and running every day.
Now, I did clock in a sub 3. It was actually a sub 245 800.
Ooh.
Cruising around on the 800. That was pretty good. But I never tried to push it that hard in the mile.
Yeah, those boys are moving quick. And that was if you didn't watch that race, again, it's 3 minutes of your life. It's worth watching, and it'll be worth every second.
Yeah,
so
pretty good.
Really
pretty good.
watch it.
Then you have the pole vault finals. America took silver because the gold medalist decided he wanted to go ahead and set a world record, which was pretty awesome to watch and see. That pole vault is still just an out of this world type of thing to me. The way they're able to take that basically 20-foot pole or longer, depending on what size they're using, run basically at full speed down a narrow little path, throw it into the ground, and then go vertical with them and the pole to then heave themselves over the bar. It is a wild sport.
Interesting. I actually sent you a lot of so I follow Omega watches just because I'm a watch person. And they actually detailed a lot of his jump. I actually just sent it to the chat, Caleb. So if you want to check it out, it's a cool little infographic. Yeah, absolutely incredible. And it's a very underrated sport, in my opinion. I love watching pole vaulting when I can, just because the sheer physics of it is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Julian Mejeres, I believe was his name, out of Cuba, won his 5th heavyweight Greco-Roman wrestling gold medal in a row. Yes, that's right. I said 5th in a row.
Animal.
That is 20 years of straight competing. Absolutely absurd. Put his shoes in the center of the mat after the match to signify his retirement from the sport. So an absolute legend. I think his name should go down and mentioned as one of the greatest Olympians of all time, right there with Michael Phelps, because you can only win one gold. It's not like he can then go wrestle all the other weight classes and win some golds that way, right? It's you get one opportunity and that's it. And for him to do it 5 times in a row, I think to dominate in that way for that many years, for that many Olympic cycles, automatically puts his name, if you want to throw a reference that you guys were using earlier, on the Mount Rushmore of all-time Olympians. I think that is just an insane accomplishment and sheer dominance in the sport.
Absolutely. And real quick, just to kind of put we didn't really talk about that with Simone Biles. The picture of them honoring their teammate from Brazil was awesome. And anybody else that says otherwise needs to understand sportsmanship. That was, I love that moment. I think it was great because, again, from a gymnastics standpoint, that sport is overly dominant. And if you dominate it like Simone Biles has, you're going to win consistently. And for them to give the respect and pay and give the flowers where flowers were due, that was awesome to see in that setting, in that sport, with how competitive it is. I just wanted to say that real quick. Sorry.
I mean, good for you. I don't entirely agree. I think sports has gotten a little too soft over the years. I think you can show sportsmanship without having to bow down to your competitor. So I think for everybody knows who the GOAT is. I think for the GOAT to all of a sudden bow down and praise her competitor for winning 1 gold medal against her, I think is okay.
I mean, if that's how she wants to show respect to her,
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, by all means, I'm saying do what you want to do, but for anybody to say that's how true sportsmanship is honored or shown, or anybody who disagrees with it doesn't know the meaning of sportsmanship, sorry, Robert, I'm gonna politely disagree.
I did not say that. I just said it's a world-class display. Like, that's my opinion, is that's how it should be. And that type of a sport with how competitive it is.
Well, and I mean, again, to say that's how it should be, I think, again, I would politely disagree. I don't think you need to go to those lengths to show sportsmanship, especially when you know you're the better athlete and competitor in the sport. I think it almost creates a mockery in my mind. And I know some people will laugh at that, but it is kind of how I
see that
feel.
viewpoint. I do see that viewpoint.
So, yeah.
But no,
I mean, I
thought it was a great display.
I'm not upset at the gesture. Like, if that's how you want to show some respect, by all means do it. I'm definitely not going to be upset if somebody says that's a weak move. Like,
no, I see both sides.
Maybe
I'm
too old school in that respect, if you will, but like, you want to be friends behind closed doors in the off season, be friends behind closed doors in the off season. But, you know, while I'm in that mode, especially if I'm not winning gold, I'm not going to be happy about it. Like, that's one thing, like, and people always tell me, like, I don't understand because I didn't train my whole life for that medal. And, like, second best in the world is better than nothing. Like, okay, that's cool if that's how you feel. I personally know how I feel when I don't win when I think I should, or when I train to do so.
Most Olympic athletes, if they don't get gold, even with the silver or bronze, they are disappointed.
Yeah, like, now I'll smile and wave for the cameras when, you know, the ceremony is being presented and stuff, but I personally believe anybody who says they're thrilled with silver and they won't be mad if they did their best and so on and so forth, and they're not disappointed, like, I call bullshit.
I mean, Simone Biles fell, so I would be disappointed on that alone.
So that's just, look, I think anybody who says second place isn't first loser is just fooling themselves, and they are playing the game for the wrong reasons.
All right, Ricky Bobby. No, I'm just kidding. I agree with that too. I do agree with that. I really do.
Look, Herm Edwards said it best, in my opinion. You play to win the game. That is literally why they were created. Otherwise, the games would not have a winner. They would not have an end point where somebody is told they did better than somebody else. That wouldn't happen when games were invented. They would have invented everything like cricket, where you can play forever and everybody's happy.
What was it? Simone Biles, you know, smiling doesn't win you gold medals. So, you know.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So that's just like, and I can walk away and be happy and shake my opponent's hand for beating me and, you know, still not be happy about my own results. Like, I'm not going to be, you know, a dick about things. But if I don't win, you know, there was a reason I played. And if the reason I played isn't the outcome, I don't know why you wouldn't be upset.
I tell you, who's going to be upset. I watched when I did get to watch swimming. Caleb Dressel. They did a whole thing about his like depression and mental aspects, and just always thinking he's a failure. And I'm like, well, it's not going to help that you didn't defend your gold for the third Olympics like you wanted to, and then you didn't medal in your other race either. Like, I bet he was not. He's not going to feel good about it.
Yeah, you wonder in those situations, like at that point, because of what you battled through just to get back to like the top level, are you just happy that you're back at that point? Because you basically retired with forces outside of your control, even though you were controlling them. And then you made a comeback, you unretired. So like in those situations, I almost look at it in a lot of ways like Michael Jordan with the Wizards. Like, are you really playing to win, or are you just out there playing to let everybody know you can still play if you want to? So, and you'll never really know because that's somebody's own personal feelings, and it's rare that you ever get the true words behind those.
You know, I will say I did get to see I did not enjoy the surfing coverage last night, because it was like 15 minutes of watching the surfers wait for a wave. And I was like, we can't cut to something else. Like, it was very frustrating.
Yeah, the nature of the event, man, it's kind of unfortunate.
I know, but like, that's an event that you tape and you give us the highlights afterwards instead of like, and then there were times it just showed us like the beautiful mountainside that they were at in Tahiti or whatever. They were just showing clips of that and you could hear water.
Right.
And I was like, why are we watching this? And then finally they flipped a badminton, and I was like, yes, something I can get behind. I do enjoy badminton.
That you're right, would be better taped and then played back off of that. Just just so you're watching everybody actually surf rather than waiting for those moments.
Absolutely. That's why I have a hard time watching surfing. I love surfing and I love catching it when I'm able to. But dude, waiting for something to happen, it's like after a while, it's like watching NASCAR. Like they're just again, I just can't get behind it. I don't get it.
I
just
don't
let
like
me see
NASCAR.
the highlight.
I don't mind F1, but I don't like
just
NASCAR.
let me see the highlight for it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So it's we got, I think it's 5 more days of events, and then the 6th day is the closing ceremonies. I believe August 12th, I think, is the closing ceremonies, somewhere in there. So not much left. Basketball will be finishing up. The men and women should both take home gold, although Jokic will have something to say about it. If Serbia wants to upset things, they may be able to put a little bit of a dent in some plans, because they did just have the largest comeback in Olympic basketball men's history. 25 points, I think it was.
20. It's. I don't know if it's 20. I thought 24 or 26 sounded right, but.
Well, I was debating all 3 of those numbers, so I picked the middle one.
I want to say it was 24. Is what?
Yeah, I was wondering that myself, and then I was like, well, was it 26? 25 sounds good. We'll see. So it's in there. Jokic putting in work, just plain and simple putting in work. And that is the definition of a high tide raises all ships, because he is making all of those dudes, none of which play in the NBA, look a lot better than I'm sure they actually are, which is what the all-time greats do and what Jokic does for many a player in the NBA with the Denver Nuggets. So see how that final turns out. I mean, that's, you got your semis coming up. Novak Djokovic did win gold in tennis, which I believe now, without question, solidifies him as the greatest men's tennis player of all time. He has every accolade that the others have, so they cannot question that. He's got more Grand Slams. He's won more of the other ATP major events. I think Rome, Miami are a couple of them, some of the major stops. So, it's just that one more notch on your belt to kind of put you at the top, if you will, and separate yourself from others that might be in that conversation. If you still want to argue Nadal or Federer, there are still some arguments to be made that I could listen to. But for me, I think it would be hard-pressed to say anyone other than Novak. So congratulations to him. Beat Carlos Alcaraz, who he just lost to at Wimbledon. So Alcaraz is on his way up. I think he is the next big name, and we could see some big things from him still to come.
He's young, and he's definitely been putting on a show lately. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Other than that, that's about all we got for Olympics now. Robert, do you have any final thoughts there?
Saturday, women's soccer. Looking forward to it against Brazil. That's all I got.
There you go.
Fun. Yeah. Fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, gentlemen, Caleb finally got around to it. He came back.
Well, let's not go.
You had a hiatus there, sir.
Well, I'm still debating if I'm really on the hiatus, and this was just a slip.
But this was the first watch of an event. This is the first watch of an event. So you're back in some capacity.
Well,
Summer Slam happened over the weekend on Saturday.
I watched it because
and that was
Pinky
a great time.
Pinky asked me to do the homework, so I watched it.
I appreciate that you completed the assignment.
It was a great card. It was an awesome card.
I will say it was one of the best pay-per-views that they've had in what I will say was a very long time, because I do believe outside of maybe the Bayley, Nia Jax, and maybe Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn, they weren't bad matches, but they weren't great. Outside of those two, possibly, the whole card was pretty solid.
It was great. So Robert and I got to go over to a guy that I literally had just met him one time.
Ron's awesome.
And we were just vibing about wrestling, and he was like, we're going to do a thing for SummerSlam, man. Why don't you come over? I was like, all right, man. And so we showed up. They had burgers, hot dogs,
Steaks.
chicken, filet mignon, mac and cheese, queso.
Dang.
It was awesome. 85-inch TV.
Sound was perfect. It got to a point where I was like, man, I have eaten too much and I have had too much to drink. I can't put much more in this body. I don't know where it's gonna go.
Awesome.
It was great time, and then just to be there, and again with all of us, even Robert's wife was there, and she had a great time and cheering on for Cody Rhodes. She thinks he's hot. So just that excitement of everybody, getting excited. I was rooting against CM Punk because I think he's a punk. I don't like him. And that happened to be one of Ron's favorite wrestlers, so we were going back and forth on it.
Ron was into it, man. That was cool.
Ron watched the entire replay after we left.
Did he really?
Yeah.
What's the next big event?
Bash in Berlin as at the end of the month. And then we're as we watched it, we bought tickets to Raw to go to Raw on Labor Day. So
I'm hyped.
That'll be fun.
Awesome.
I wish I could join you fellas, but I won't be able to make that one. But that'll be fun.
So it's gonna be a good time. So we got to talk about Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. They always have Rhea Ripley open up the premium events, or they have had her do that quite often.
They seem to do that a little bit, yeah.
And this storyline, though, that it built up for so long, was just such a payoff.
Look, so I like that it makes sense in the sense that it's Liv messing with Rhea's head. And it was inevitable that, as we'll talk more, Judgment Day imploded. And it makes sense that Dom being Dom and him and Rhea together never quite made a fit in sense to begin with, that he would betray her. It does not make sense that Liv is with Dom. That I am still insanely confused by.
Well,
other than she was doing it to mess with Rhea. But I felt like then it should have come out on Raw that that's what she was doing and dumped Dom. But that didn't happen, so I'm even more confused now with that whole situation.
Dom with anybody doesn't really make sense.
Right, exactly.
Dom's character just doesn't make sense.
But your girl, Liv can do better. Pinky, that's your girl. That's your girl. For her to be with Dom, I thought it was just a play, a mind trick, and she was going to come out and discuss such. That is not what happened. And
they're leaning into it. They're leaning into it. So we'll see how that all plays out. But they put on a great match. They may have played on it that Rhea Ripley threw out her shoulder, and then she did the old Lethal Weapon and jammed it back into place. That was pretty cool to see her do that.
Also, a legit thing, I've actually seen somebody do it. It's wild. So it's not just like a made-for-TV kind of and entertainment value. No. I watched somebody legit hardcore throw their shoulder back in. And I was like,
her shoulder looked like it looked weird when they do close-ups on it. It looked weird. It
kind of looked like it might have been out. Not gonna lie, it did kind of look like it.
So that just a great match, great thing with Dom at the end, helping Liv win the belt. Continuing on that storyline, again, they did it last night at Raw, continuing it on. They're going to keep it going for a little while. We'll see how that works out. You did mention the Braun Breaker Sami Zayn match. I want to say Sami got hurt because it was supposed to go 10 minutes, but it only went 5.
Something happened and it quickly. This is what I'll say about the whole thing. I heard something that just made me giggle and laugh. Unless I'm insanely wrong. I think it was Cole was like, and now continues the meteoric rise of Braun Breaker out of nowhere or something along those lines. And I was like, haven't we been hearing about this dude for the last 4 years? Meteoric rise out of nowhere. No, that's not true. And if it was a meteoric rise, wouldn't he have been fighting like Cody Rhodes or at least for the championship with, you know, somebody like Priest or somebody like that? Like what? Like it doesn't seem like a very meteoric rise.
Let's be honest though. Is it a shock or a surprise that a former wrestler's son is getting pushed up? Right?
No,
it's not a surprise at all. Like nobody should be shocked by where
really
Braun Breaker's going.
Up? That's why I'm like, I'm not sure if he's that entertaining. Like maybe he's really good at what he does, but I don't know if he can. He doesn't have the chops to like hold the crowd and be that dude right now, and that's why I think he's not actually having a meteoric rise.
He's not at Lesnar's level, but when you're talking about like his sheer strength and power and brutality, he's close. He doesn't have the showmanship that Lesnar has.
That's perfect word, Pinky. He does not have the showmanship, and I think that's why, as of right now, we won't see him do much because I think they'll want to keep pushing him for a little bit to try and give him that opportunity. But if you can't find a character, like if you can't go into yourself and find something for the people to really start bringing him in.
I don't think I've heard him on promos or anything like that yet, so I don't know.
But what I'm saying is I think there's a reason. Like I think that is what, like I said, we've been hearing about the dude for a long time. And just now, all of a sudden, they're finally bringing him onto a card and letting him win the Intercontinental, right? So it's not lack of talent that's been holding him back. We all know that. If we've been hearing about him that long, it is not lack of talent. So what's the other, maybe even more key component than your actual talent in the ring? It's your ability to carry the crowd, i.e. Logan Paul, who we'll talk about in a second, who came in with no experience and arguably no true wrestling talent, but insanely athletic and can captivate the crowd. That is a bigger deal to have, I think, than the actual background of wrestling. Because you can teach the background of wrestling. You can't teach somebody how to have a presence. You know what I mean? And I feel like Braun Breaker doesn't have a presence. He just does. They keep trying to push like how powerful he is and how strong he is and how he can take on anybody. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I kind of see that, but I don't feel that. Like he doesn't feel really truly threatening because he doesn't have a presence about him. There's nothing there. It's an empty stat, as Pinky likes to talk about in my mind.
And you're spot on. You're spot on. And I think they haven't created a character for him. They haven't created a rivalry for him. They're going to need to take it to the next level if they want to continue to build up his star power.
Yep. He's going to have to, not them. I think it's on him now.
Well, I think they've done what they can do.
Yes.
He came out in Royal Rumble. He showed out well. They brought him onto the main roster, and they've been pushing him ever since. And now their work is done. It's on him now. So they've got him to where they needed him to be for him to now start showing what he can do.
Yep.
So we'll see how that rolls. LA Knight and Logan Paul. I love LA Knight coming in with his Logan Paul prime truck
after he stole it
and then wrecking it, or at least, wrecking a window. And then Logan Paul hitting him with a court subpoena.
Well,
so that could be fake. That could be real. I
don't care. I'll take the dub.
Yeah, that's right, Caleb.
I
all day.
I don't know if I liked Logan Paul losing, but I don't think he needs to be champ to continue doing what he's doing. Like
he won't. I think he loves participating in the whole industry, if you will. Now. Right. So he's on. I think we might actually see him a little bit more on Raw or SmackDown now.
I think it was you, or maybe it was Cody, that brought up that LA Knight would probably win because LA Knight wrestles every week versus Logan Paul's really only on the pay-per-views.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And I know you don't like LA Knight, so that's why you were a little bummed, but I like LA Knight. I like him a lot.
LA Knight is just like, to me, he's just like a guy. Like I don't find anything special about him.
He's more than a jag, dude. He's more than a jag. He's got a little bit of a McGregor walk. He's got a little bit of a Rollins kind of speech and crowd involvement, and I like him. I like me some LA Knight.
I don't dislike him. I just like, to me, he's like, I don't get him. He doesn't work for me. Come on, Robert, tell us.
props about Logan Paul's backflip from the ropes there.
Oh yeah. I love Logan Paul. I do. I think he's entertaining.
That athleticism, bro, it just blows my mind every time.
Yeah,
love him.
He's pretty good.
Love him or hate him. If you are not shocked by some of the things he does in the ring, like I don't even know what to tell you anymore.
Yeah, like does some good stuff.
Wild.
Like, he's really fun to watch. So, congrats to LA Knight. I think it's the first championship he's won.
I personally think that was one of the things that was robbed from the evening. Honestly, was that there was like the WWE best move or whatever of the night, and it was the Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley deal, and I was like, there's no way that Logan Paul LA Knight deal was significantly better. So I was actually really disappointed in that.
Fair.
Nia Jax and Bailey.
Move along. Nia Jax won. Keep going.
Yeah, Nia Jax won. I did like Tiffany coming out. She looked like she was gonna like cash in, and then all of a sudden Bailey gave her and she was done.
Yeah.
But fun match regardless. It just wasn't like transcending or amazing. It was okay.
It was a match.
It was a match. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk with Seth Rollins as the guest referee, which you knew, of course, he was going to get involved. You knew something was going to happen. And I think it played out pretty much how I thought. The announcers were pretty shocked by how well CM Punk did because he lasted so long. But
I like how they carried out the storyline in the match. I used to be a McIntyre fan, and now I think the dude's just a dirty cheat who talks a big game but can never actually win without a low blow, it seems like. That kind of seems to be his calling card here recently. So not a fan of his, and if somebody doesn't start calling him out for it, I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
Well, I really liked Drew McIntyre when he was just the big, powerful, fun character. And now as they've tried to make him a little bit more of a heel, a little more aggressive, I just think he's lost his appeal overall.
I mean, I'm not mad about the way he's doing the heel and basically just saying you got to live up to the championship and I'm going to own you, though, whatever, this, that, and the other. Like, I'm not mad about that exactly. But again, it's kind of like Roman or Solo always needing bloodline participation to win matches and stuff. If you're always going to give like a low blow or a cheap move to win, like the storyline of that being your calling card, I immediately am turned away from because there's more creative and interesting ways that you can carry on that thing and not do that all the time to win matches, which I think is just lame.
With Seth Rollins getting involved in the win for McIntyre, of course, this feud is not over.
I mean, he didn't get involved. CM Punk drew him in, I think would be a better representation of what happened. Seth was calling a clean match. He could have just thrown the bracelet, he could have thrown the bracelet out of the ring, which is probably what he should have done. But he kind of looked and chose not to because I think he knew what it meant, so he didn't want to disrespect it. So he just put it on and continued calling the match. CM Punk's the one that's got the issues. He wants to think Seth was in his head. That's his problem. I think Seth has been pretty upfront, open, and honest about his feelings towards CM Punk and still called a clean match. So CM Punk's, his fault for losing. Keep your composure, and that wouldn't have been an issue, and you wouldn't have caught a low blow from McIntyre. So that's all on CM Punk.
I mean, McIntyre is a G, and I would have picked him over CM Punk any day of the week. So
absolutely, I don't like Punk at all, though. I don't like Punk's character. I don't like him. I do like his music. When his music comes out, I'm like, yeah.
He can move along, and we can move along.
Gunther and Damian Priest was a fantastic match.
Solid.
Fantastic match. Damian, I'm glad the Judgment Day turned on Damian Priest because he had gotten to the point he doesn't need them anymore.
Absolutely. And I also love that Finn Balor is the one that did it because I've been waiting for that to happen for a long time because like we've talked about in the past, he was kind of the original leader of Judgment Day because he's the one that got them to turn on Edge. Who, if people don't remember, started the whole Judgment Day.
Right. Very short-lived for Edge.
They kept trying to recruit Finn Balor, kept attacking him. He kept saying no, and then finally he got Judgment Day to turn on Edge, and it looked like he was basically the leader for a while. And then it was kind of him and Priest leading for a while. And then it very clearly became Priest doing everything.
Priest and Mommy.
And then, well, yeah, but Mommy just kind of always sat back and did her own thing. So it wasn't like, Priest was really ever telling her what to do, or Finn Balor. It was kind of like, we're going to make these plans for us, and then you're just kind of riding along with everything. Whether you want to or not, that's up to you. So I feel like she was kind of always just kind of there, but never really part of the overall plans, if you will. And it finally has ended. Judgment Day is definitely over.
I was shocked that they had Gunther win.
I'm not, in the sense that, look, part of the reason I finally stopped and took the sabbatical, if you will, was the way that he won the title in the first place. So the fact that they allowed him to hang on to it as long as they have is kind of more surprising to me than Gunther winning it, because
Damien's only had it since WrestleMania.
I know, which
it's only
still
4 months.
Still think it was too long, based on the way it was given to him in the first place. I think Gunther was given it. Another reason is because it's easy to have him lose it. So it's easy now to, at any point, allow the new champion to come in and win that, which you're probably looking at McIntyre, Rollins, Punk, one of them coming and having it for a short period of time and then it moving on again. If I had to guess, I'd say Braun Breaker has that title by the end of the year. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Would this one count towards Cena's 17? Does this one count towards that? Or has he got to win the undisputed WWE Championship? Like, I don't know what level these two belts are on anymore.
Well, they're supposed to be kind of equal based on what Seth asked of Triple H and management, and that's why it was created, was it not?
I hope so.
This and the Universal are kind of on equal playing field. I kind of felt like,
because I feel like Cena's winning one next year. He's gonna get 17. I don't know which one he's gonna get or when he'll get it, but I do think he's getting 17. They're gonna make that happen.
I mean, if that happens, that feels like more of an epic win, and then a Money in the Bank briefcase to the back of the head while he's celebrating with the crowd for him to lose it the same moment, the way they've treated him recently.
They have not treated him well in the last couple years that they had him come in and do something.
What was that match they had him lose 2 years ago?
Austin Theory.
Yeah, that was trash, dude.
And it was awful.
Yeah, Austin Theory doesn't even exist anymor. Now that Vince McMahon's gone, look how quickly they burned him out.
He made a quick cameo just to get choke slammed by Jelly Roll.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You know exactly what I'm saying.
He's non-existent at this point. Him and Grayson Waller don't matter.
No, because Vince McMahon is finally done, and they're like, and we're going to end that storyline as quickly as possible because it's trash and nobody believes it and nobody likes it and it's terrible, which they've done a decent job. I will say this event did help settle and rewrite some storylines, but I'm still very upset about one, and we'll get to that, I know.
How about the sheer pain I felt every time Gunther or Damian Priest chopped each other?
Yeah, brutal.
I mean, every time I was just like, oh my God, I can't even imagine being in there like, yeah, I'm going to let you hit me again. Oh yeah, I'm going to let you hit me again. No, like that hurts and you can hear it.
I mean, doing chops enough to make somebody's chest bleed is not going to feel good for sure.
It's nasty. So, what did you think about that match, Robert?
Which one? The
Gunther Damian Priest one.
So
the Gunther.
Sorry, I had to respond to my mother. There was something going on. The Damian Priest Gunther match, that honestly was probably one of the more intense ones, and I, like Caleb said at WrestleMania, it was an interesting win for that.
And personally, I like Gunther from the beginning. He's just cool.
Gunther's a good wrestler.
With the ring general.
He was one of the first wrestlers that I actually watched with you. And you kind of gave me a good backstory on him, and I kind of liked just what he did. I mean, shit, the man bled.
Just admit
that was
German
crazy.
And you're.
I mean, of course I'm German.
You got a soft spot for the Germans. Just say it.
But
Robert was
like, all day.
Gunther?
But
yes.
But it was a very cool match to see because Gunther just.
Well,
I don't know.
Those are two big, gigantic individuals.
And the moves they were doing were insane. So for their size, it was very entertaining to watch. And I've always loved seeing from the. I think we've watched 4 now together, Pinky. Gunther's been at almost every one, and I've loved seeing his matches because they've always been I've found highly entertaining.
Gunther puts on
great.
A good show, which is why I think they let him be Intercontinental Champion for so long, and that's probably why they didn't feel too bad letting him become World Heavyweight Champion, because it does again change the Judgment Day storyline, which is really the reason for him winning was to change that. He could lose that belt in the next 1 or 2 pay-per-views pretty easily, and that's okay. Gunther's going to be around for a while,
and nobody's going to be upset about it.
I think they'd be shocked if we lost it on SmackDown, though.
I don't think they would.
Are a lot of belts changing hands on Raw and SmackDown these days? I don't.
No, I'm just saying. I think based on the way things are starting to go, I think I could see more of that movement, and that was the belt to do it with. That, the U.S. Championship and the Intercontinental Championship are the 3 belts that used to move hands quite a bit, especially on Raw and SmackDown.
Right, they're gonna need to come up with a couple of those here and there.
So
not just the tag belts.
I think you will see a little bit of that start happening again, and not just the pay-per-view events that things happen. Now, the Universal Championship, I think, will be your pay-per-view belt. I think that will stay just as is because of what it is. That's what it's known for.
Are you calling which one are you calling the Universal? Are you calling that the Undisputed? Because it's not called the Universal anymore.
So I know. I don't. So that's the Undisputed one? I don't know.
So there's the World Heavyweight Championship, which is the one that Seth Rollins was the first one.
Right.
And now Gunther has it.
Right.
And then there's the Undisputed WWE, which is where Cody Rhodes has that.
Right. So I think the one that Cody has is the one that will just continue to be whatever superstar they want to put at the top for however long, and that'll be the continuous pay-per-view belt. I think they'll start bringing the other one back to more Raw and SmackDown to change every so often. I mean, because I think they're equal footing. In my mind, they're equal footing.
Right.
It's just more about this is our top superstar, so you get that honor kind of thing. Whereas all the guys that are kind of fighting below you that everybody believes could be there, this is the belt you actually get to fight for a regular.
Well, it also keeps it to where they can have one on Raw, one on SmackDown. Right.
Also true.
So that's another way to handle it. And I do think the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix, a belt or 2 belts are changing hands. They're going to make that one epic. That one's going to be pretty awesome.
And I also think you're going to see a lot more. I think that's really, when does that start here? Like 6 months, right?
It's the first week of January.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so 4 months. I think you're going to see personally, maybe I'm wrong, but I think you're going to see a return to Attitude Era almost on steroids.
I'm so looking forward to it from what all I've heard from you guys.
And if we could have somebody just come out and suck it.
Oh, dude.
It'd be awesome.
I mean, beer drinking, middle fingers, and crotch thrusts, and words being dropped that you didn't know could be said on television yet. And
there'll probably be some wardrobe malfunctions and
blood everywhere because you're dropping off of a 30-foot cage. Like, the Attitude Era was something else. So I think that's especially Hunter.
Robert, I would recommend, every so often jump on Peacock and go back and hit some of the WrestleManias from the early 2000s. Oh, man.
Yo, I'll just give you names and matches to go pull up on YouTube. Undertaker, Mankind, cage match. Boom.
Undertaker, Shawn Michaels.
Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, and anybody. John
name
Cena
it, Stone Cold.
Yeah, Undertaker WrestleMania, John Cena WrestleMania. I mean, there's things you can type in that you will just get highlights that will catch you up quickly enough to understand what we're truly talking about if you want. I'm sure there's a video out there on YouTube. If you just typed in WrestleMania Attitude Era, it would give you a 30-minute rundown of everything you really truly need to know.
Triple H, that was like the height of his powers.
I mean,
like
Triple H and the Generation
Shawn
X.
Michaels and
the real start of it. If and I know this may not be accurate historically from a wrestling standpoint, but for me, the true start of the Attitude Era was Hulk Hogan coming out as NWO. That was
WCW, but Attitude Era was that's what they came up with to combat WCW.
Yes, but remember, it did translate back over to the WWF eventually. But right, you're right. It was WCW, but I still believe that was the start of the Attitude Era. And Sting and everything that WCW was doing to compete with WWF, that WWF then grabbed and ran with to the next level.
Razor Ramon, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan. When I was looking through the belts
Sting,
on
WWE
Shop.
Hulk Hogan coming out as the heel and the bad guy in NWO was insane. Absolutely insane. But almost on that same level when Sting joined him eventually was absurd.
Well, then I think Macho Man did it for a little bit too.
And then they had, then Goldberg came about from WCW as well. So I think WCW is what truly started the Attitude Era in my mind. And then WWE, which was WWF, ran with it.
I can agree with that because they really a lot of the things Attitude took and ran with definitely started in WCW. All right, so
Michael Bishop, if I remember correctly.
Eric Bischoff.
Yep, thank you.
Eric Bischoff.
Yep, good old Eric Bischoff. Yep.
Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa, which let's be honest, Solo is probably not a main eventer.
Everybody knew Cody was gonna Cody was gonna win. It was a stupid match from the beginning, and then I thought was super disappointing to have Roman Reigns come back out, and then everybody thought he was actually going to attack Cody. Come on, that felt so scripted, and everybody knew it was going to happen, and lame duck BS. I was like, wow.
The one thing I thought was going to happen is I thought Cody and him were going to look at each other, stare at each other, have that kind of respect. And I thought Cody was going to throw up the one. Thank you. I'll throw up the one. But, that didn't happen. But
I don't see why that would happen.
Because it's hey, you came out and got my back. I appreciate you. Really, I acknowledge you
as a guy who loves the GOAT bowing down to her competitor for beating her.
Look,
you're
they
not
have
cool
a beef.
With Cody throwing up a 1 for the original tribal chief. Get out of here with your back and forth forked tongue.
No. You are taking what I am trying to imply and misconstruing it.
I don't think so.
Not what that means.
I think that was a pretty solid back and forth analogy of one to the other.
Not at all. Not at all.
So again, it's out of respect.
Then? What's different with Cody throwing up a 1?
Because they're gonna fucking throw down. Whereas this has been something where
Simone Miles is gonna throw down with her again.
They've been going at it for several years. This is one of the first years where she's been dethroned in one of these events. So I'm happy that she's actually giving those flowers and you know what?
Cody got his ass beat by Roman and his whole squad for 2 years before they finally allowed him to beat him. So I mean, again,
so it's already
feels like similar situations here, my guy.
So that opportunity has already come and passed. Then again, I'm new to this. So if that's already happened, then they could have already done that. Why show respect now if you're just going to be assholes to each other? Then that's just pure rivalry at that point.
I think you're going to see Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes team up, and probably against the final boss and Solo Sikoa Bloodline squad.
I think The Rock should have been the one to come out and say, "I'm done with this nonsense. You're out, Solo. The Bloodline's over until further notice. I am the Bloodline."
Right.
Beat the crap out of Solo and his goons. Let Cody know that there's still business for them to handle when The Rock deems he's ready. and then walk out. That's how it should have happened. Instead, they bring back the story that is basically what caused me to take a hiatus to end what I thought was a really good event, to the point where I am still on a hiatus because of it. Sorry. Sorry, Pinky. I waited for you to go through the whole thing before I gave you the bad news.
I didn't hate Roman coming out. I liked it. The crowd went wild.
Oh, cool.
It worked out. I liked it.
Lame.
You can go a lot of different directions from that. So
tell me I'm not wrong.
I like your storyline that you've created, that The Rock would have been better. I could agree with that. I just don't think this was bad either, though. I think this was fun. But
okay. Well, teach their own. But I'm on my hiatus still. That didn't do it for me.
You got to watch Raw when we're there. Then at least you got to do that. That's your next homework assignment. Labor Day Raw.
I can do that for the simple fact that you'll be there and my guy's there, and so I can do that for you.
At least that, and then
we gotta make signs, bro. We're gonna have to make signs.
We're so high up. No, we don't need signs where we're at. we're not front row on the way as they walk out.
Lame.
We're gonna get TV time. We're up in we're up on the front
375.
375, bro. So we're not worried about signs at that level. Now there's not bad seats. There's not bad seats at Ball Arena.
No,
but
there's not.
We're a sign is so you get on TV. We're not getting on TV, bro.
Yeah, they don't put that upper area on that tube.
So that still can make a sign.
My final notes was I was like, oh, good. Yep, I like it. Great. We're doing awesome. This is fabulous. This is you motherfuckers, I'm out. That's how I felt about the evening, unfortunately. So we'll see how things play out. I know you'll keep me posted as to how things are going. And I mean, I'm not done forever. That storyline got so stale and old for me. Like the bloodline being there is one thing. Judgment Day ending, I'll be honest, I had to go back and forth with myself because it almost pulled me all the way back. But I can't get over Roman Reigns and the bloodline still having things. I'm out on that.
But Judgment Day hasn't ended. It's just changed. And Bloodlines hasn't ended. It's just changed as well.
No. Judgment Day as we know it ended. The Bloodline as we know it basically just evolved. It didn't end. So that's where I'm not cool with it. I'm not good. Roman wants to come back and try to take power and be Bloodline again and still do the things he was doing to the entire roster is super lame. I don't need that in my life.
If they continue that part of that story, that is lame. I will agree. Because what they were doing with that story was lame.
If you're not going to have a crew, and I can't see him being a tribal chief and a heel without letting the crew do all his dirty work. So
something has to happen to where we get Roman and Rock at WrestleMania 41. Like that's the collision course we're on.
Yeah, which to me means which is lame, but you got to give Roman back the title.
Which you could do. I mean,
right,
he could beat Cody.
It's lame. It's lame.
Now, if he beats Cody without any help,
then it's cool. Then I'm good. Then I'm back in. But this whole having 8 dudes beat up everybody for you so you can win the match and keep the title is old. Like, again, we've talked about this. You do it once or twice or every so often out of nowhere and it's a surprise and people weren't truly actually expecting it this time around. That's that. Fine. If it becomes the norm.
Well, when they have a phrase for that kind of match and they have to call it Bloodline Rules, it's gone too long.
Yeah, we used to call it handicap, no rules. Now they're creating nicknames for it to make it sound better. Get out of here. I'm over it. I'm on hiatus still. Sorry, guys. Let me know.
You can be on hiatus. It's fine. I mean, I can only watch pay-per-views. Because when I go to YouTube TV to watch Raw, it's like from 2 weeks ago. And then I don't have access to SmackDown right away either. So I'm just watching pay-per-views for the moment until until Raw hits Netflix, and I'll be on it every week.
There you go.
So, all right. So SummerSlam, we got Bash of Berlin later this month, and then we've got Raw in Denver. So that'll be fun. Ron is going to join the podcast Tuesday, the night after Raw. He's going to jump on with us.
Fun. All right.
So I'll tell him to put his belt on and show us that belt, which is beautiful. He's actually got 3 WWE Championship belts that are pretty cool, and awesome wrestling fan. All right, so I know we promised the people a mock draft. We're not going to do a full 15 rounds. Probably be 8 to 10. Robertson, Caleb, did you go in and grab the middle?
I got it.
All right, and I've got the end.
In the center for you, buddy.
So I'm gonna. So we need to draft from our phone, but I'll show the screen here.
And then we'll obviously Pinky will, as a good man, pause it at the end of every round so we can kind of do a little recap, let you know our thoughts on things. We picked, the beginning, middle, and end of a 12-man PPR flex type standard situation. So we've got the computer doing its auto on the other picks. So we'll kind of discuss where guys fall, and if that were your team and this is kind of what you were doing, why a pick was good or bad. We'll still discuss it like guys are picking, just to kind of give you ideas on how we feel about certain players and things of that nature, because this is the start of the mock draft season, ladies and gentlemen. This won't be the only one we do. We'll probably do one more. 1, because we like doing this and discussing it. 2, because it's fun. And 3, because we like doing it and discussing it. So we'll probably do one more closer to the season when we have a little bit more solid information on starters and training camps over, things of that nature, whatnot, so on and so forth. Usually we do that one as a home league live, and it's a completely separate episode. And that's a real draft.
So we'll probably, that's a live draft on
that's
air.
That's not a mock. This is our mock. Maybe
we'll probably do we'll do a different. We'll do another mock, and we'll set up the parameters a little bit different. But the live one is literally the Tuesday, the week game start. So
that's separate from the podcast. We do that as its own little entity all by itself, because we let the league mates, if they want to join, come in and be part of it as well and chat it up and be silly and goofy. Because look, if we have this platform, why not do something fun with our buddies, right? That's what this is all about. Right. So this is, again, standard 12-team PPR flex. Robert's going to start at the front. He'll pick his now. So, give you a little idea. Just, again, a little bit of background here. Robert is what I would consider a fantasy novice. Robert, you said this is your second year playing fantasy?
Officially, yes. Because my first year I don't count.
Okay. Officially his second year playing fantasy. This is only going to be he's only going to have a total of all through his fantasy career. He'll have 4 leagues that he's been in. You have 2 this year that you're doing? 3. Okay. He's moving up, ladies and gentlemen.
My first league is back in action, and we're trying to do that. So I'm like, well, shit, I actually have to pay attention so I can win this shit. Because I'm not playing for kicks and giggles anymore. I actually need to win.
I like that. So Robert's picking from the 1 spot, but as kind of a newbie. I'm going to pick from the middle and just tell you guys flat out, I'm going to do something kind of different. I'm not going to do anything that's your standard. I'm going to do a version of a best available to kind of give you an idea of what's possible if you pick in the middle rounds. And then Pinky's picking at the back end. He'll get the wrap. And if I know anything about Pinky, he's going to do what he thinks is the best possible team he could pick from that position. And we'll discuss the different levels and variations, and again, even what the computer's doing, to kind of give you an idea of how we feel about different guys and where they're going.
The one thing about mocking with this computer is it will typically take the best available, which is nice, right?
And it always fills its starting roster
right
before it will go to its bench.
Well, it depends. I've seen it draft 4 running backs or 4 wide receivers. It doesn't start doing that until you get into some of the middle rounds, but in that first 4 or 5, it will literally take the best player available.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we should do just 11 rounds. That gets you 3 into the bench, so it gets you the starting 8. I think is what we have it set at. and then 3 bench spots. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of how to move some depth to start your bench. And I think we could stop it there. Like you said, we don't need to do the full 17 or whatever it is. But just give the people an idea of kind of how to fill out their starting roster and then kind of build some depth to begin with. Good?
All right. Well, Robert, when you pick, just kind of make a, try to tell the people why you're picking who you're picking. And then I'll try to pause it once it gets to everybody's pick. That way they've got a time for that explanation.
So, I mean, like Caleb had put very nicely for me. I'm still pretty novice to all of this. So I'm kind of still figuring it all out. So I'm simply just kind of going off of what I know from my basic knowledge.
If you need a lifeline, you let us know.
I mean, I'm always about lifelines.
This
and
is all about a little bit of education, research, and knowledge.
Exactly. And I know that there are several, almost infinite amount of strategies for this exact thing, which I'm still understanding and learning from not just you both, but other people we're playing with and so on, because everyone has their little tick, if you will. So that being said, if we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into this, I mean, I'm going for my boy here, picking up that wide receiver. So got to do that for Amon-Ra. He put up great numbers last year. Pinky, I know you're hurt. It's okay. But
I don't even know what to do with this.
I'm sorry.
I guess this, Pinky, is why I mentioned at the very beginning kind of where we're all coming from, so people don't just flip out right away. Because, Robert, no offense, and I'm saying this as nicely as possible, because I don't hate the pick. To each their own when they're building a fantasy team, and he could very easily be the top performing wide receiver in this year's draft, in this year's league, in fantasy. He could easily do that. But that's a homer pick and more of a, I like watching my home team, not necessarily I'm taking the best player on the board pick.
Which, Caleb, that comes back to one of the rules of fantasy football. Know your league mates. Absolutely. Know their tendencies. Know what their team is, right?
Well Obviously, said, Pinky. Well said.
If you know that Robert loves the Lions, you can assume he's going to draft a Lion. So if you want that Lion on your squad, you better take him before it gets to Robert. So,
and I knew this was going to be not a great example, but a good example for me of what I should not do when we actually do this.
Well, hold on. If you draft a first-round player in the first round, it's debatable, right?
Sure. And it sets the tone for the rest of the draft.
If you feel like Amon-Ra, who I think finished like wide receiver 4 or 3, because Jefferson did have a down year because of injury, then you could also make the case he could end the season as wide receiver 1, and then it's still a good pick. So as long as as long as you're not drafting like Sam Laporta at 101,
oh god,
then we'd have an issue. But we've had some weird stuff happen in home leagues. It happens.
Everybody does.
That's where you want to be prepared for those scenarios. But it's not the worst pick you could make at 101. It's just not where most people would pick at 101.
Sure. Absolutely.
But pick your guys. That way you build the team you want, because it's more fun when you have your team.
That's right, Pinky.
Agreed. Now, Team 3 is stoked that Mr. McCaffrey fell. Yeah. So that's a big get there for Team 3. Moving on to me, based on what's on the board, this is a very debatable hot topic. I do believe, all things considered and everybody stays healthy, this dude is just going to get more opportunity in situations that matter when it comes to fantasy scoring, and that's why he will be my pick. Wait for it. It's coming. I promise. There it goes.
Oh, man. We had Breece Hall, Bijan, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Gibbs, and Puka. God, you guys all suck. I hate you all.
Yeah, that wrap can be a gift or a curse. There's no doubt. That back end 12th pick can be a gift or a curse because you can feel like you're basically getting second round talent, but at the same time, you're getting the very best at the top end of the second round.
I guarantee you already know what I'm going to do right here, Caleb. Can you call it out?
If I had to guess, I feel like based on the way the board fell, Pinky really wants to take Chase, but I feel like he's going to go the running back stack that could end up being the top 2 running backs in fantasy this year with Saquon and JT.
That's exactly right, Caleb. You know your league mate well.
So going back to that first round real quick here, Pinky. The wide receivers, I think, kind of fell as we expect. Now, they might have gone a little early given what Robert did, and I think Tyreek going over CMC is very debatable situation
I think we can agree that Amon-Ra is going somewhere in that first round.
Oh, I think you can take the first, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers up to A.J. Brown and say any of those guys could easily finish as the number 1.
Absolutely.
So I've got no issues there any which way or form. I think the first, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs that have gone now, I think you could easily argue any could finish as number 1. So I don't hate any of those picks either.
I would be honest. I would have loved Gibbs to be there in the wraparound.
Sure.
I think I would rather have Gibbs than Jonathan Taylor. I do love Saquon with Philly and a good offensive line. He's never had a good offensive line.
No, he has
Imagine
not.
what he can do if he's not getting touched for the first 5 yards.
Right.
That could be special. But I think Gibbs is a special player in the run game and the passing game, and I would have really liked to have seen him at the wraparound, but unfortunately, Team 10 had to be a dick and take him before me.
Yeah, that happens. That happens, and I understand. I understand where you're coming from. But again, I think our first, honestly, when you look at the first 14 picks, in my mind, based on their situations, their talent level, and what they have the potential to produce this year, those first 14 are all first round. And those first 14, in my mind, all have potential to be number 1 at their given position. So if any of those first 14 go anywhere in the first round, I'm not mad about it. Now, I'm a little bummed Pinky decided to take a running back and double down on said running back. Not that either one would have made it back to me, but I was hoping then that it would help Olave fall to me because I am a big believer that he could have a huge monster year and a dark horse potential for the number 1 wide receiver in the league.
He was solid last year.
I don't think he'll get there because of many different factors, but I think he has a dark horse potential to end up as the number 1 wide receiver. So don't count him out. Given where I'm sitting now, again, I told you I'm looking at best available and potential to put up points for my team. I'm almost treating this as a best ball scenario, if you will, in a sense that I'm just trying to look for the most points on the board right now. I am hard pressed to turn down Josh Allen, but I do believe there's enough quarterbacks still on the board where they can produce very close to that top end points that I believe I need to grab a second possible running back 1. And we all know I've been high on this guy for a long time, but he did produce last year, and I believe it was a down year for the offense. And I believe they'll have a bounce back year. And even though people are talking about how he might get less touches due to his backup getting a little bit more, I still think he's going to get touches to produce as an RB1. And that's Travis Etienne. So again, just trying to keep the talent that I can with the points on the board.
Fair enough. So this next one I personally liked from last season, and that was Mr. Derrick Henry with the Ravens. Elite running back. I said it last year, and I was so crushed when the Ravens forgot how to play football. So I think that's going to be something where they've got a little bit of sour taste in their mouth, and they're going to be something to reckon with this year. So that is who I'm going to go with on my next pick there to solidify that. And with this one, I want to be a little different from what has already been spoken about in our chat from before. And with how everything went last year and with just what he's doing off the field and on the field right now, I'm very excited to see what he does in this upcoming season. And that's going to be Mr. Stroud.
Ooh.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
I'm not going with the other pick that we've talked about, which was Lamar. I wanted to be a little different tonight for this specific reason, so I can grow my knowledge a little bit on how those reactions play out. So that was my rationale there.
Here's a shocker. The computer took Travis Kelce, but it had Laporta rated higher. So that's kind of
I don't think that's a crazy shocker given the track record and the fact that they're almost dead even in
But I see a human
points.
I see a human doing that versus the computer.
Well, the computer
had
also,
Laporta ranked
keep in
higher.
mind, this is good for us though because it also took Tyreek Hill over CMC. So it's giving us a good random instead of your standard everybody expects it random, which is good for us because it's mixing things up a little bit more. I think the Derrick Henry pick is stellar, my guy. If he would to fall in that position and available to you there, that is a gift.
As your running back one, you are super stoked about that.
I think people talking about how Lamar is going to steal things from him, this, that, and the other. I see it the opposite. I think this actually steals things from Lamar in a good way and elevates the passing game and Lamar's play. And I honestly, 1,600 yards and 20 touchdowns from Derrick Henry, I think is very well within reach this season.
I don't know about 16, but definitely 12. And what I think will happen because they have Derrick Henry, they might not bust Lamar out running until the playoffs because they won't have to. So we will see.
Love that. I don't hate Stroud being the second QB off the board, especially in a fantasy situation. I think that more curious to me than Stroud, and I don't hate that pick at all either. My surprise, though, was as soon as he took that, I just happened to notice that we've got, at least with Sleeper, Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs ranked 29 and 30th overall, right next to each other as wide receiver ones, basically. And if I'm personally trying to get a wide receiver right now, and I'm looking at this board, I don't know if I truly want to touch either one of them as my wide receiver one, especially with Tank Dell coming back into the mix. They do have a tight end that they like to throw to in Dalton Schultz. They will be throwing to their running back a little bit more because Mixon can catch the ball out of the backfield. So having them ranked that high is a little bit surprising for me. I can see the offense supporting it, though, which is also crazy because now I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. But I personally, I don't want to touch either one of them in that situation. Somebody who I think is going to have a sneaky big year that for whatever reason people aren't talking about as a wide receiver one. And again, it's somebody who I've been high on for a long time, but I think they're going to throw the ball efficiently this year, and he did just get paid. I like DJ Moore to have a big year, actually a career year.
All right, so we had DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs, Josh Jacobs, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel, and Nico Collins go before me. And I am very disappointed because I would have loved to see Deebo or Nico Collins make it to my pick. So the computer screwed me again. It's what they do. So
what's great is this is what Peaky's going to be saying in the actual drafts that we do when people do these picks ahead of him. And it's wonderful to listen to every year.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well,
What to do here, sir? What to do here?
Okay. All right. So we are going to go ahead and take a Mr. Reliable here because I think I need a reliable wide receiver.
Okay.
And I'm going to take Cooper Kupp.
I knew it.
And then I don't think this will be a huge surprise to Caleb because he knows this is my guy, and he has really done well for me. I'm going to take Kenneth Walker. Now, I did consider Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts. I did. But in a one-quarterback league, I typically wait for quarterback. I like to build the rest of my roster before that. If I'm playing super flex, I absolutely want to get one of those top guys on my squad. So if we were playing super flex, like Mahomes would have been mine already. But in a one quarterback league, which is what this one is designed to be, you're going to wait. I'm going to wait a little bit on my quarterback.
Sure. Don't hate that at all. I am bummed you decided to grab Cooper Kupp because I think he's going to have a huge year.
Mm-hmm.
Not as huge as his ultimate, record-setting year, but I think he has a big,
he's not
normal
going to have a
kind
triple
of
crown year.
Cooper Kupp year. I think he will have, and getting him there, I was kind of hoping he'd somehow fall to me. Didn't think it was actually possible, but was hoping. I think that's a steal there.
Now he could have gotten close if Debo or Nico hadn't gone, because I would have grabbed one of them. Which then again, Cooper was behind Pittman and Neighbors.
He was. So that could have been interesting. That could have been.
He could have made it to you had Nico or Debo been there.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. Kenneth Walker there, I think, is a bit of a dart throw only because he seems to be looking like he's kind of a little nicked up prone and could end up possibly missing games when it matters most come playoff time. So as your third running back, it's great. Depending on what you do, if he's your top flex, that could be a little iffy for me, but the potential to boom is huge. So, yes, he is one of your guys, and the talent level is no question. I do question the durabilities ever so slightly right now. We'll see how this year plays out, especially with Charbonnet sitting behind him. It's not like there's no talent sitting there without playing time. We'll see what that split looks like as well. I'm sitting here. I've got a running back. I've got another running back, and I've got a wide receiver. The board is looking a little questionable for me as far as, do I take a third running back with Cook? Do I look at Mixon, who I think could have a really nice year down in Houston? I think he's going to get the touches. Or do I look at grabbing my quarterback? Do I look at a tight end? But honestly, I think this guy, again, I've talked about it before. I don't think there's any true data to say this is going to happen. It's just a gut feeling. I think he finally breaks out as that top 10 wide receiver, and people are talking about him as a true number one dude, and that to me is DK Metcalf.
All right, so we had DK, Joe Mixon, Lamar, Trey McBride, and James Cook come off the board. Now Robert's got back-to-back picks.
So this one, just because the chemistry was there last year, except really not for the last half, if my memory serves me right. But Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, I just feel like are going to be a powerhouse. So that's exciting.
Love it.
That is kind of where I'm coming from on that angle. Now for this next one, I'm having a bit of a hard time kind of figuring out here. Just because I really do not see a lot of big games coming from New Orleans. But I feel like Kamara is going to be one of those running backs that just have a sneaky way about them this year. So that's who I'm going to pick up for my next pick, just because I have a feeling that's going to be a dark horse of a player in this season for sure.
Can't say I hate that. I think it's a huge boomer bust with Kamara.
He was super solid last season,
mm-hmm.
all year, except for his suspension weeks, which were the first 4. So other than that, I had him on a championship team that I had. He always gave me a really good floor every week, and that sometimes it's all you really need.
Yeah, don't hate that at all, especially given what was on the board and what's available. I'm going to make this quick. I think this dude only improves from where he was at last year and continues to rise, and you think he's going to be definitely featured a la Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews type in this offense going forward. And I'm going to grab Dalton Kincaid in his second year. And I know Mark Andrews is still on the board. I just feel like that offense is going to be a little bit more well-rounded, and Mark Andrews isn't going to have to carry the load as much.
Well, Dick's target's got to go somewhere, right?
Exactly. And I think some of those, again, we've talked about this as a sleeper later rounds, but Curtis Samuel is definitely a name to keep an eye on. I think Keon Coleman as a rookie will have a good year, but I do really love what Dalton Kincaid brings to the table here. So if my thing ever unpauses and loads, I'll pick. But
I mean, I can load it for you if you want. But
go ahead, grab Kincaid and move on because my system's not working. I'm getting a blank screen right now, to be honest with you.
And Mark Andrews goes right after you. Mark Andrews, T. Higgins, George Pickens, George Kittle, and Keenan Allen. All right. Let's see here.
Now, I will say, what Team 9 is building here right now, you're going to see in your home leagues. You're going to see somebody do something crazy. Team 8 and 9 are doing the same things. A little wild. They're kind of picking what they think maybe is best talent available. They could be going a 0 running back strategy as well. So keep those things in mind because there are teams who could load up on wide receiver. And if you're not, and you're going more running back heavy right now, let's say you're like a Pinky and you only have one wide receiver right now, you could start looking at guys who are going to be a second or third option even. And you've got to be now debating, am I looking for something more of a low floor and a low ceiling just because I want the points? Or am I looking for that boom or bust guy every week? And that potential to just give me higher points, but maybe a really low floor.
So for wide receiver 2, I think I'm going to take a Steady Betty. And he's been a pretty damn good wide receiver no matter what quarterback is throwing him the ball. And I think he's got the best quarterback he's had. Come on down, Terry McLaurin.
He could put up low-end wide receiver 1 numbers. So I don't hate that pick at all, dude. And I agree. Pretty steady. And what's coming out of Washington's camp right now with Jaden Daniels, they're going to let him throw the ball. And he is the top dude on that staff. So cheers, my guy. Bravo with that pick. I like it.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do next is the question.
Oh, man. Well, there's a lot of I kind of like that guy, kind of like this guy. So in those moments, I usually like to go with a Steady Betty. And come on over, Aaron Jones.
In Minnesota's offense, running back 1, even if he's lost a step, he's going to give you points for sure. But 4 running backs there right now is an interesting decision to go with. Now, it's my turn to finally be angry with the computer, if you will, good sir, because I did think Joe Burrow would fall to me. And I think he's got potential to put up QB1 numbers.
Absolutely.
And I think Cincy and him specifically got a little chip on their shoulder from last year, and they want to bounce back in a big way and say, our Super Bowl run was not a fluke. We can get back there, and not only get back there, we can win it all. That's how good we are. So I was really hoping he was going to fall. Now, he did not. I told you, though, I'm still looking to take best available on the board. And given my lineup and where I'm sitting, I believe I have two options right now. A third running back, who I believe can produce solid RB2 numbers, so you're starting him every week. Or do I take my first quarterback, who is basically guaranteed to give you a top 5 at the end of the season production? I'm leaning towards the quarterback right now, only because I've got a thought on my third running back if he potentially falls back to me, and I'm going to take that risk. I don't think Dak will, so I am going to grab Dak. He is a, if you will, steady high-end Betty in the fantasy.
I think he was top 5 quarterback last season. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And since I was already planning on taking a quarterback there in Joe Burrow, I believe, if I'm potential for a top 1, still believe he's top 5 in Burrow, I'll take what I believe is a top 5 in Dak.
Yeah, Dak doesn't probably get back to you in the next pick, so that's probably a good idea. You got 2 here, Robert.
I do. And so I've been really thinking about this one. Been thinking about picking up a good tight end for myself here now. I have next to almost no faith in what Jacksonville has to offer, and Brock Bowers seems to be a pretty good, steady pick. So there's been debate here on this podcast about how well the Raiders would do. So I'm gonna go on a little bit of a faith leap, and that's who I'm gonna pick for that next one there.
Easier to take a little bit of a reach when you got back-to-back. Just saying.
So, and then I personally think that this will be a good one to kind of just have on the backside of things here, just for when needed, because you never know with Mr. Caleb Williams. So, Mr. Odunze, come on over.
There you go. Oh, Kyler Murray went. Ah, damn it.
Yeah, Kyler wasn't getting back down there.
He's just hanging out much longer.
I can hope, baby.
I can hope. That was going to happen. Now, the running back did fall to me, which I am happy about. And I think in Arthur Smith's offense, he will have a bounce-back year, and he will put up potentially RB1 low end. But I do believe for sure RB2 numbers based on his already existing production in the NFL and not a great offensive play calling situation. Najee Harris can come be my RB3 any day.
Saw that coming.
Oof.
Pinky's got decisions.
Yeah, I do got decisions.
Yeah, buddy.
Pinky did not expect to find himself in this situation.
I know what you're doing. I know at least one of these picks what you're doing. You're going to go back to the well right now for sure of what helped you get a championship last year.
If he doesn't, I'll be shocked.
That's on the board, but I still need a wide receiver 3. And I don't know if this guy gets back to me, and I do think he's going to have a good year. So I'm going to take a leap of faith.
Okay. Don't hate that.
And there's still some good guys there, but Jordan Love, come on over, baby.
Yeah, that was. I understand you debating based on the way we feel about a 1 quarterback league and the potential to still get value late, but where you're getting him.
But there's a couple guys that I was like, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Tua, Herbert is still there, Cousins, Stafford, Rodgers. There's still tons of dudes that I could get as my wide receiver 1, but Love did have 30 touchdowns last season, and he played some of his best ball down the stretch. So
Yep. Don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. Now, I think Hollywood's an interesting one. Xavier Worthy has looked like a rookie, I think is the best way to say it, from by all accounts and reports coming out of Chiefs camp. Not bad, but just looks like a rookie.
He has a highlight play every other practice, right?
He's learning it. He's going to learn how to beat press coverage. He's going to learn how to use his speed, how to run more crisp routes, how to dissect coverage and get on the same page as Patrick Mahomes and things like that. But he is looking like a rookie by all accounts. So I think Hollywood Brown might be the more interesting one there. Njoku, I think, is really interesting because he could, as we saw down the stretch, skill level and potential to be tight end 1, but will they allow him to do that again?
Joe Flacco made him almost tight end 1 for that last 6-8 weeks of the season.
He did what we've all been waiting for, right? Joe Flacco finally threw him the ball, and Njoku did what we've all been expecting or waiting for. The talent's there. He just hasn't necessarily had the opportunities. He got them, and now...
He's from the U, baby.
Okay.
He's from the U.
So that could be a steal that late in the draft. I think Jake Ferguson is a solid pickup. He was great, top 10 last year. Great late round tight end to grab. What I'm looking at right now, again, I told you, I'm looking at where can I potentially get the most points. Almost playing this like a best ball situation. I want to build a team that I think can blow up week to week, but you might have to make sure you're picking the right guys to do so. I think this guy has potential to be a top end wide receiver. Health is a question mark, but big play and the opportunities are going to be there. And might be a slight reach, but I don't know if he'll make it back to me. So I'm going right now. I'm going to grab Christian Watson.
Oh yeah, for sure. I thought for a second you were going to grab Chubb, but
we know how I feel about Chubb. I believe he was the best running back in the league, even over McCaffrey. But he is coming off of a blown ACL. This is the third time I believe it's happened to him in his entire football career. Twice at Georgia, I think. Now once in the NFL. He is going to miss some time, and we all know it usually takes a guy a year to look back to himself. I'm not very high on Chubb this year, unfortunately. Fantasy-wise.
All right, Spicy Icy. You got 2 picks, baby.
So for this one here, I'm going to be going with Mr. Keon Coleman. Thinking
he's fun.
And Josh Allen are going to be a good matchup, which I also, of course, being who I am, just like Caleb is with his Nebraska, Keon Coleman also played some ball at Michigan State, so I love seeing what he does every year. So kind of little home there. Now this next one, I've been really debating about internally, just because I'm not sure how it will go this year. But I'm really thinking that as a good option for Mr. Stroud there, factoring in Mr. Schultz as a good tight end option. So I was feeling pretty good about that one. Not sure how it'll go this year, though. What
I will say about that pick, Robert, is when you're taking your second tight end before you have your third running back, it's probably not a good strategy.
Okay. Good to know.
So you know.
Don't listen to Pinky.
I know what you were thinking, and I like Schultz a lot.
There's a version of what he's doing of kind of a zero running back situation. So he's not off kilter. It's not like this is an unheard of way to build your team. So don't entirely listen to him, Robert. This is more of Pinky's own feelings on how to build a fantasy roster, not necessarily that you're doing something that's unheard of and unprecedented.
No, but normally you would rather have a third running back than you would your second tight end.
I will take that under advisement. I appreciate that.
Now, he could play one of those tight ends in his flex, given their potential to be a solid points scorer every week.
But you do that in
boom scorer.
You typically do that in bye week situations where you the best player to put in your flex is your second tight end. I've done that before. You really would like to have that third running back though, because injuries happen, bye weeks happen. You're going to need that third guy.
Pinky's way to build a team, not necessarily everybody's thought process.
I'm a sponge. I'm soaking it all up.
Hold on.
Soaking it all up.
None of the computer players have 2 tight ends yet. Just saying.
It's true.
Just saying.
It's true. Doesn't mean if Schultz hadn't gotten back around to somebody, though, that they wouldn't have grabbed him, considering he's potential top 10. That's all.
That's draft, Caleb. You're going quick here.
Again, just looking at, I'm trying to get points. That's what I'm really trying to do here. And based on where I think those points are going to come from this season, I think this guy has the potential to get the most out of what's still available in this area. Now, I will also say it could be argued that these last 2 rounds, depending on your preference, could be considered slight dead zones, depending on what's falling to you and what you may need or want. So keep that in mind. It's okay to reach if what you feel is what you want or need. Don't worry about where their positional ranking is. I like this guy right here out of Tennessee and his opportunity for touches this season, especially in a PPR. Rajay Spears.
Computer did it to me again. He took both running backs I was looking at. I do think Motor, as they like to call him, Devin Singletary, is going to have a good year with Brian Daboll, who was part of the coaching staff that drafted him in Buffalo.
Sure.
And then I do think Trey Benson is going to take over for James Conner at some point this season when James Conner is hurt. So
that's going to be what I asked, and that's fair enough. You answered my question already. Thank you, kind sir.
I am ecstatic that the tight end I've wanted deeper made it back to me. Because I think he's going to have a bounce back season. Him and Hurts do connect quite often.
I think his floor is, as long as he plays the whole season without injury, which I think he will. But he has been known to miss a game here or there potentially, or have something that's a little bit more 4 or 5 game thing. His floor is top 10, I believe. So for you to get him where you did that late as your tight end 1, I think is a steal. So solid pick.
These 3 guys I'm looking at, I would want any of these guys on my roster. But I can only grab one, and they probably won't make it back to me. I've got the boom potential of Jameson Williams.
Detroit, baby.
Who is looking good. I've got the floor of Cortland Sutton, who has been building a pretty good rapport with Bo Nix. And then I've got a guy who showed up a lot last season, and him and Jordan Love just happened to make sweet love together. So
I like the stack.
Romeo Dobbs for the stack.
I like it.
But I really like those other 2 options too.
Williams go. Some second quarterbacks. Think that's probably because you're unsure about your first, if that's what you're doing already.
Yeah, I mean, 2 on Goff this late, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. But as your second quarterbacks, I mean, in the 10th round, you already have your starting. It's not terrible to build depth anywhere. That's never a bad thing. So I don't hate it, especially considering if you are thinking about, you feel good about your starters already, make the move. Goff could have an even better season this year than he did last year, and last year was really good. Tua could do the same thing. So you're talking about potential top 5 quarterbacks, given the weapons that they both have and the way the teams like to throw the ball.
If I'm that team, I'm probably going to play Tua at the beginning of the season and Burrow at the end.
Well, warm weather, cold weather, that's not a bad idea, my guy. Now, again, I like the idea that you talked about with Sutton. A solid floor. I think you're right. He could even have a big year. So he's definitely on my radar. I'm giving this guy as a sleeper. He may have a bad year. He may be a great football fit, but a terrible fantasy option. Or he might be a great late round grab for a lot of people for this 1 year and be a steal, which is what I'm hoping for. And I think he's going to be a poor man, almost Deebo Samuel for Buffalo. And I'm going to grab Curtis Samuel here.
Sure. Don't hate that at all. All right, Robert, you got 2 picks. Your last 2 picks of this draft.
Last 2.
So needing to still, think about needing another running back and things. That was something I was factoring in for later. It's kind of a toss-up, but depending on how things go, I do think Chase Brown would be a very interesting pick.
Absolutely.
To see what happens. So, especially since Moss has historically shown he can't always be healthy. So if he doesn't do well for the Bengals there, that could be an issue. So that's why I'm putting a little faith in Chase Brown there. Now for this part of it here, needing that secondary quarterback, I'm surprised no one else went after it. I'm just going to go ahead and take that out of play and get my Kirk Cousins.
So Cortland Sutton went. No surprise you took Cousins. Tyler Lockett, Cole Kmet, Jerome Ford. Oh, computer, you suck.
So just kind of looking at this area of the board, again, I'm just trying to think about that best ball type situation. Play my cards right, put the right lineup in, or on bye weeks, have what I need to fill in for said bye. There are a couple names here that I think have potential for that boom situation that I'm talking about. Now, I have Dak. The only time he's going out is if he's injured and then I'm screwed, or his bye week. So I'm not going to take my second quarterback here, even though you do have some names like Herbert and Lawrence still on the board that could put up points. Adonai Mitchell, I think, could be a great wide receiver, but in that offense as a rookie, I'm not feeling a whole lot of boom potential. Maybe a couple weeks here and there, but not every other or every couple. Where I'm really looking at is moving down a little bit here, and there are three names all sitting right next to each other. And that's Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Green Bay. That's Mike Williams, now a wide receiver with the New York Jets, who should theoretically be wide receiver 2 opposite Garrett Wilson playing with Aaron Rodgers. And based on their weapons, probably the second option, at least to start the year, and depending on health, the whole season, regardless of how I feel about Malachi Corley. And then Jerry Jeudy with Cleveland. Does he finally open up the potential that everybody has talked about and become that PPR machine that can give you 1,200 yards and 6 to 8 touchdowns, but have 115 catches because of his route running ability? I'm going to dip into the well one last time. And given how much I love Aaron and expect out of the Jets, I'm going to grab Mike Williams.
All right. Oh, Zach Charbonnet. That's who I was going to grab. Computer's such a dick.
Last pick, Pinky. What are you
Life's
gonna do?
a dick, Pinky. What you going to do about it?
Yes,
Deal
suck
with it. That's right. Show it who's boss.
I mean, wide receivers, there's still tons of guys at wide receiver that I'd be more than okay drafting. There's a second tight end I could grab. Typically, as my league mates know me, I am a running back hoarder. I will usually put tons of running backs on my roster. And when you just want that extra guy, sometimes you got to go on a limb. He's healthy at the moment. J.K. Dobbins, come on over.
And because he's my guy and Pinky picked him, he will fail him miserably.
He absolutely will, but I won't feel too bad. As my fifth running back, it's a guy that if I drop and pick up somebody else, I'm that's okay.
Fair enough.
So,
fair enough.
All right, that wraps it up for this week. Biggie, I just saw when I switch over to sharing the screen, I didn't see your message. Otherwise, I would have invited you to the mock. But maybe next time we can get you in before then to have you help throw off.
Biggie, my apologies. My comments weren't loading. I just realized and didn't see anything. So appreciate you, my guy. Next time,
once I go over to the second screen, I can't see our camera or anything. So, This is actually
we'll work on that. We'll work on that.
Not bad at all. This draft actually worked out pretty good for a lot of teams. This would be pretty interesting overall. I don't know. I don't think Team 10 has what it takes. Might sneak into the playoffs, but I don't think they would win anything. Team 11, oof. That's a no running back strategy if I've ever seen one.
That's zero for sure.
That's big time zero. Because they've got, Brian Robinson will get points every week, but there's no guarantee Trey Benson hits the field for the first 4 weeks. So, what else we got here? Team 9. Team 9's not bad.
Some potential there.
Yeah, Team 9's not horrible. Team 8. Running backs, Team 8's problem right now, too. Jonathan Brooks is on PUP.
Could be a little thin. Yep. Eckler, we're not sure what's going to happen with Washington.
Brian Robinson's the first down, second down. Eckler's probably your third down guy.
Even Jacobs, if for whatever reason the tires fall off, they drafted a dude who they're totally cool with letting get some touches.
Right. Team 7.
Solid.
Just no. The running back is real thin there.
Questionable. It seems to be the direction a lot of people move to. There's going to be the few teams that still kind of grab a bunch, but there are teams.
Your team is solid, Caleb, for sure.
Thank you.
Little bit weaker at wide receiver, but I still think you'll get a decent floor from Watson and Samuel. So that's not bad because you're going to run Harris, Hall, and ETN every week and be pretty solid.
Yeah, and again, going for the boom more so than the floor. I'm looking at that best ball potential.
Team 5 is solid because they've got Mixon, Mostert, Warren, and Ford. That's 4 running backs that are starters.
I think there's too many mouths to feed in Miami. I don't see Mostert being consistent enough. That's the kicker. And if the word is true about A-Chain,
until he gets hurt.
Well, we'll see. But Mostert is the same way.
A-Chain, Mostert is the same way, which is Jalen Wright might be the guy to have in your lineup later down the line. Team 3 is pretty solid overall. Higher on the running backs than they are on wide receivers.
Yep,
but they are
big time.
Pretty solid.
Wide receiver is thin.
It's questionable, right? Because they need McConkey and Lockett's a steady Betty. They need McConkey to be good.
Well, but Lockett's out if what we believe in Jackson Smith is true. Lockett goes down the pecking order this year.
I just don't think DK is going to be as good as you think, my friend.
Well, and that could be true too.
He's got all the talent in the world, but I just for whatever reason they don't scheme him open.
Like I said, I'm throwing a dart in the dark on that one. But
yeah, I want no part of DK Metcalf. He's overvalued in my opinion. Fair. He's got all the talent to be wide receiver 1, but they just don't use him right.
Yeah, there's something there for sure.
Team 2,
if Connor plays the whole season and he can get his wide receiver 2 points between Rice and Worthy and he just plays them right each week or until Rice gets back from suspension.
It's going to be that.
There's some.
It's going to be that. It's going to be that running back that's going to kill Team 2. But, and then Robert. Robert's banking on 2 rookies to be good. The running backs are solid. Quarterbacks are solid. Tight ends are pretty good. It's not a bad team, Robert. Not a bad team.
Love it. Final thoughts, Robert, on that note, good sir.
This is still football, not fantasy. I am glad I did not, not that I had the finances to do it yet, but getting a Broncos Navy jersey, because that was probably my favorite one that I had seen. But they wear it once this season.
They're only wearing it one time. They're wearing it for the Cleveland Browns Monday night game.
And that's really kind of a shame.
Okay.
I'm
They're wearing.
I'm a little disappointed.
They're wearing white 9 times. Now, some of that they can't control because the team they play gets when they play on the road, the team gets to pick. The home team gets to pick. So, but they're playing in whites 9 times, orange
5,
the new orange 5, the throwbacks 2, and then navy just once, which is weird.
Not gonna lie, a little disgusted that you guys know that.
They tweeted it out.
I know.
They tweeted it out.
I know they do. I'm very aware. This is why Pinky is the Broncos fan of Broncos fans that everybody should understand. Good. Pinky, final thoughts, good sir.
It is fantasy season. I've got a lot more mocks to do. Have a couple drafts coming up in a few weeks. Robert and I are hitting training camp next Friday.
Yeah.
When the Packers are in town. So we should be able to give you an update on how the Packers look and how the Broncos look against a playoff team. Packers looked so good last season, and it was after the Broncos beat them that they were like, whoa, wait a minute, we got to play better. And that's when they went and started going on a run. So we'll see what happens there, and just excited for everything to get rolling. We do have preseason football this weekend. We ran out of time. I did want to talk about Hall of Fame. Maybe we can get that in next week because Hall of Fame class got put in. And congrats to Randy Gradishar, longtime Bronco.
I mean, didn't we talk about that last week?
I think we mentioned it, yeah. But I'm going to say it again because he actually went in. And then they just put in a list of players who are eligible for the first time next year. And I think that's an interesting list to talk about. So maybe we'll try to bring that up next week.
Word. I think we're gonna work on what a final thought means for both of you.
I gave my final thought and put it to rest. What are you talking about?
I feel like there were.
I'm gonna kick him out here, Robert.
I feel like there were thoughts, but maybe I'm mistaken.
I provided one thought.
I guess yours was just a thought, and Pinky carried that into multiple all through his own. My bad, Pinky. We're gonna work on what a thought.
Thank you.
I mean, my bad, Robert.
One thought.
Cody, we'll do another one. We'll get you in. We'll let you know, my guy.
So Cody and Biggie, I'm writing it down right now.
Maybe even try to get Biggie if he's possible. And Cody, what up, my dude? Final thoughts. It is draft season. We do enjoy fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. Say what you want if you don't like it. To each their own. But we do love it because you get to play that GM kind of thing. You get to build your roster and your team and make decisions and play with your friends and have that camaraderie. And it gets you talking about the game and understanding more about other teams and other players. And we think truly gives you a more well-rounded view and knowledge of the NFL. So it's not just some silly little game. We do think it's a great tool to grow your understanding of everybody and every team in the league. And it's fun. So enjoy it. Have fun with your friends, your family, your loved ones. As we always say, do not take those moments for granted. Cherish them. Take advantage of them as much as possible. Until next week and next time, we are out. Appreciate everybody. Peace.
Cheers, everyone.
Fast lane when I pass in the street. Bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down 'cause the coast